Hello Aries, and welcome to the channel. Okay, so the next week you're gonna have to avoid emotionally overreacting to things. And why is this? Because Mars is entering Virgo, and your mind is going to be hyper focused with that Virgo attention to detail. But problems with Saturn and Pluto are going to create a sort of feeling of internal pressure where you're going to want to blow. And also we've got the Sun in Cancer, we've got Mercury and Jupiter coming and activating in the 4th house here, which is about your home, and that's going to stir up some feelings and memories which might be to do with your family, might be to do with things that have happened in the past. So don't let those old wounds provoke your reactions. You're going to have to keep a lid on your spiciness at the moment because the skies are making you feel like erupting, but you know that you shouldn't. So really try hard, Aries, because it comes so natural to you to get involved emotionally and to, there's a lot of sparks flying, but try to keep a lid on it. Try to take a breath before responding and things will be much smoother for you. Hello Taurus, what should you avoid over the next week? Let's have a look to the skies. Now, unusually for you, we're talking about financial impulsiveness, because normally you're somebody who knows where the pennies are and needs to keep a track of things, and you don't tend to be that financially impulsive, or at least you will pause to consider. But what's being highlighted here, and this is to do with that Cancer stellium, that Sun, Mercury and Jupiter, which are influencing your 3rd house, and that 3rd house is about thoughts and communications and things, but they can lead to being too optimistic or having like rose tinted glasses on. We've also got Venus, which is your ruling planet, of course. Venus, the planet of love and a bit of self-indulgence here. We've got that planet in Leo, and that's squaring Uranus, which is also in this sign. So this is going to bring about some surprises or rebellious urges that don't normally sit sort of in your spectrum of behaviors. And what we've got highlighted is a potential for financial impulsiveness or overspending, particularly if it's emotionally driven. So if you're thinking, I'm going to buy this to make myself feel better, or such and such happened, therefore I'm going to purchase this, or I'm going to spend the money on a big holiday, wait before you click that buy now button, Taurus, because those planets are doing spooky things with your head, and they're leading you into that pathway where it just seems like the best idea you've ever had, but you might regret it later. So just be super cautious, Taurus, about where you're spending and those impulsive drives. Hello Gemini, let's have a look at what you should avoid over the next week or so. And quite simply, it's over explaining, over promising, okay? And think about your boundaries. Now, what we've got, your ruling planet Mercury, which is all about being mercurially minded, being a great communicator, moving fast, being very sociable. It's in Cancer, but that's also conjuncting Jupiter and the Sun, which is like sending your powers of expression through the roof. Like you could talk the hind leg off a donkey right now and you'd be very good at it, okay? But that's potentially causing problems with boundaries. So you have a tendency to overstep boundaries, or you have a tendency to make your boundaries very malleable, okay? And very sort of fluid. So perhaps one day you'll insist on one thing, but the next day you'll change your mind. We've also got that Neptune lingering square thing going on, which is adding a bit of confusion and fogginess to your communications. So where you feel like you're really going for it and everything you say is on point, maybe your communications aren't being received as clearly as you perhaps would imagine. Mars in Virgo is going into your 4th house. The 4th house is about things at home, and that could bring a bit of tension, because we've got Mars, the planet of war, and Virgo, which can be quite picky and be quite critical. So I think key here is just be careful how you're talking to people at home. from family, friends, and avoid being passive aggressive, okay? So just bite your tongue, think about what you're saying, and apart from that, everything's looking tickety-boo for you. Happy birthday, Cancer. How are you doing? This should be a really, really charged time for you. Everything is feeling very, very emotional because we've got the Sun, we've got Mercury, and we've got Jupiter in Cancer right now. So those feelings are amplified. You are glowing with emotion. The emotion is trickling down your body and making a big pool on the floor. And therein lies the problem, because that leads to emotional overload, or perhaps taking things too personally. You've also got the powerful new moon in your sign on June the 25th, which is something like a cosmic reset for you. So if you've been going down one path and thinking, I'm on the wrong path here, or I need to change things, or I need to level up a little bit, that new moon is your perfect opportunity. It's going to pick you up, it's going to dust you down, it's going to give you a quick scrub, and it's going to set you on a different path. So it's a great day for starting new things. One thing to watch, because it's so knife edge emotional, it can dredge up some buried insecurities. So just watch that sort of little voice of that little insecure voice sort of nip in your ear. Don't pay any heed. We've got Mars going into Virgo as well, which is going to make you feel like you want to rush in and fix things and sort things out quickly. But don't do that. Don't rush in. I think we should say allow yourself to feel Cancer, but don't let your inner child take charge, because it's very easy for you to put your feelings first and to be ruled by your emotions. But you need to stay a little bit more grounded during your birthday season. It's going to be an emotional ride, but it should be pretty positive too, because these things are really well aspected for you. Just keep your feet on the ground a little bit and avoid overreacting. How are you doing, Leo? How are you feeling? You should be feeling pretty good right now. We have got for you this week, what should you avoid? Well, Mars and your South Node are conjunct in your sign, and that's also during a really rare little thing that's going on with Saturn. Now, this can make you feel really restless, impulsive, feeling like destiny is playing out. It can mean that karmic things happen and that destiny does play out, but you're going to feel like you want to push forward for it all to sort of fall into place. And sometimes, although it's not in your nature, you have to learn to sit back and not try to drive the show. So you need to be in passenger mode. You've also got a lot of stuff going on in your 12th house. So that sort of means meaning that you need to look at resting more and perhaps reflecting on things that have happened in the past. Basically, it's more about your spiritual health, this aspect, and the fact that perhaps you could do with that sort of almost like spiritual health break, sort of a spiritual audit of yourself to make sure that you are aligned with your true purpose. The message for you to avoid acting on impulse and avoid making ego-driven decisions over the next week or so, because those sort of aspects are leading you to think that you're right constantly, and also leading you to jump to conclusions and then to jump in with both your lion feet. Okay, so think before you roar, Leo, and enjoy the summertime. Virgo, are you overdoing it again? Because I'm seeing burnout for you over the next 7 days by looking at the skies. We've got some interesting things going on for you. Mars is entering your sign, and this means that you're going to feel quite ambitious and you're going to feel really driven. But you've got stressful aspects to Saturn, which is about relationships, so you could have some pressure coming from there. You've also got some dodgy aspects going on with Pluto, which means that this is about creative pressure. So you could feel like burnt out, or you could feel like your drive is almost too fast and it's going faster than you can cope with. The Cancer planet sits in your 11th house, which is about friendships as well. And it's about it's asking you to nurture your community, to reach out to people and to spend time with people, but really, really be careful that you're not taking on the weight of other people's problems. You need to create space between yourself and other people's emotions, because you have this tendency, especially with this Mars entering your sign, you're going to have a tendency to go like, I'm going to fix it, I can fix anything for you, and then to take on board their issues and try to work them out. But with this tendency for burnout at the minute, doing that is likely to lead you to a position where you're exhausted. Remember, Virgo, you cannot pour from an empty vessel. So you need to take care of yourself, take care of your spiritual, emotional, and mental health before you start trying to take care of other people. Hello, Libra. How are you doing? Okay. We have got some interesting astrological things going on for you today, which might lead you down a path which you probably feel like you've been down before, because Libra, you are a diplomat. You like the balance of those scales. You like keeping people happy, but at worst, it can become people pleasing. So we've got Cancer energy, which is highlighting your 10th house, which is going to it's going to sort of bring your career into focus. So if there's something about your career or work that you want to focus on, or you're waiting for news about a promotion, or waiting for things to change or even unstick, then this is a great time for that to happen. However, you could be feeling a little bit emotionally exposed, okay? And your tendency will be to try to balance everything by smoothing those troubled waters potentially over, and that can make you feel vulnerable. All right, so we need you to exercise a little bit of assertiveness and a little bit more of that sort of make yourself happy before you make other people happy. We've also got Pluto squaring up to the sun, and that can bring power dynamics into play. So it's the kind of situation where a boss could try to make your life difficult, or somebody could try to impose their will on you. And what we're being told here is don't smooth things over. Don't people please. Don't compromise where it's going to end up with you suffering and sort of just to keep the other person happy. If somebody tries to put the pressure on you, then stand your ground, okay? Because we've got this issue with you avoiding difficult conversations over this next week, and that sort of compromises your boundaries, okay? So you can maintain your keen sense of diplomacy, but be firm and get what you want first of all, Libra. Hey Scorpio, how are you doing today? What should you be avoiding over the next 7 days? Well, quite frankly, it's obsessive thinking and emotional control tactics. So that sounds a little bit dark, doesn't it? So Scorpio, you are ruled by Mars and Pluto, and both those planets are having a little bit of a tricky time right now up in the sky. We've got Mars, that planet of war and action, in Virgo, which is very mental, very critical, very sort of detail orientated. So Mars wants to push through, Virgo wants to hold back and pay attention to detail. You've also got Pluto in Aquarius, and that's got a little aspect going on with Mars, and that's creating an inner turmoil. So you don't know whether to stop, whether to go, whether to jump, whether to not, whether to twist, whether to stick. Okay, so you need to keep a lid on all that. With all that going on, and you've also got a strong Cancer thing, stellium going on in the 9th house, which could awaken some philosophical or spiritual pursuits in you. But be open to evolving, okay? But don't let that obsessive thinking and those obsessive thought patterns sort of detract you from your spiritual growth. And also make sure that you're a really strong character, but you can be prone to emotional control tactics and being quite controlling of people. So not always in a bad way, you know, you're a leader, but it's like sort of you'll think that this is such a good idea about something that you'll want everybody to see it in your way, okay? So just be careful to avoid that this coming week, especially when it comes to things that, you know, spiritual, philosophical things that you've thought, wow, this is the way forward, this is the idea. Not everybody's going to see it like that, and you're just going to have to bite your lip and let bygones be bygones, Scorpio. Hello Sagittarius, how are you doing? How are you feeling today? Are you feeling like you're taking on too much? Perhaps you are, because this is what the planets are sort of lining up to dish out to you over the next week or so. So you're being strongly advised not to take on too much without discernment, i.e. look at the consequences of what you're doing. Your ruling planet Jupiter, which is happy-go-lucky and such a vibrant, beautiful planet, is in Cancer, and that's going to boost your feelings of emotional generosity. So you're going to want to spend time with people and to help them, but this can lead to that overcommitment, taking on board other people's problems, and this is especially the case as it's going to amplify Mercury and the Sun, so it's going to put that extra energy in it, and especially with the solstice as well, shoveling in the energetic load as well. So really be careful not to overcommit. It's all going to impact your 8th house. We're going to have your sort of emotional intimacy could be impacted here, so it could be quite a time where you feel like you want to take on a partner's woes, or trying to sort things out for a partner where really you need to let them stand on their own feet more. You're being encouraged by this planetary alignment to focus on your shadow work. Try to integrate shadow side with the light side of yourself, and understand that those two need to operate in tandem for you to be you. Your Neptune is still squaring up with your sign, so it's you're being told don't trust anything at face value. Okay, that can be a little bit of a tricky aspect. So if something is offered to you, like a gift wise, or somebody suggests something, don't take it on face value. Question everything and find your own truth. So research, Sagittarius, and you love doing that anyway, but this sort of week coming, it's particularly advised to make sure that nothing trips you up. So research and don't overcommit. Capricorn, stop being so hard on yourself and other people. It feels like you are really having a time of it at the moment, and that's because your ruling planet Saturn is in Pisces, so that's really making you feel emotional about things, and it's testing your emotional flexibility as well, because it's like it's making you feel even more stubborn than usual, and that could be particularly the case if it involves love and relationships. Okay, also Mars in Virgo is pushing you towards ideals that perhaps seem unreachable right now, so you're being really tough on yourself. You're like a really hard taskmaster when it comes to driving forward, and there's some things that aren't going to be possible for you to achieve right now, or to achieve them would leave you overworked and overstretched. So just allow yourself to sit back in the sun over the next week and just take your foot off that pedal a little bit. We've also got your 7th house being activated, and that means relationships, in a word. So they're going to be front and center for you at the moment, and you're being urged to choose compassion over criticism, and that's towards yourself and your partner. Try to understand things from their point of view, and try to understand why you act like you do as well. So avoid that criticism, be compassionate at all times, and try to work on that emotional flexibility. Is there somewhere where you can be a little less set in stone about things? Aquarius, sun, moon or rising, how you doing? This week you're being urged to avoid doing that group think thing or following the herd. It's like a week where you need to exercise your independence, and you're such a beautifully unique and independent soul as it is, but sometimes you hide your light under a bushel, and sometimes you don't put yourself forward as much as you should. But this week you're being told, be independent, be as unique as you possibly can, because it's very aspected that you need to stay grounded in your truth. Okay, you've got Pluto in your sign, which is continuing a long transformation arc, so it feels like you're on a journey where things are changing for you. We've also got this week Mars in Virgo, which is sort of asking you to Balance power with strategies, okay, pushing forward, but also let's make plans about how that forward motion is going to look for you. We've also got some stuff going on with Saturn, which is your traditional ruler, and this can add some karmic stress and can also mean that there's aspects of karma playing out around you. So if somebody needs some karma, perhaps they're going to get it, or you might just witness the big wheel of karma turning in your life, and you might sort of catch that whisper and hearing how it's all working out, how that pattern of the universe is coming together for you. So stay grounded in your truth, Aquarius, and watch out for those karmic events. Hey Pisces, whether that's sun or rising or moon, wow, you are having an emotional time right now. We've got Saturn and Neptune in your sign, so we're talking a lot of water here. You're already swimming deep and trying to keep your head above those emotional waves. And now we've got Mars in Virgo, and that's your opposite sign. So that's going to create some tension, and it's going to make you feel like you just want to burst into tears, or it's going to bring those some tension to your relationships, relational tension, which might feel like it's going to blow at any minute, and you might be feeling very tearful. On the upside, that Cancer energy is really energizing your creative side and also your love life. So if you can get round the tension with a partner, then you should feel really connected together and allow that sort of feeling, that Cancer home and hearth feeling, to make you feel like making a nest together, staying in, watching a film, being together. But you've got to avoid being super sensitive, because it's like you're letting everything go to your heart at the minute. You're taking everything to heart. Everything feels like a bit spiky to you, and you can pick up on things the wrong way. You need to have that awareness that, yeah, you're feeling really emotional at the moment, but what you think might not necessarily be as it is. It could well be that your emotional sort of state of mind is clouding your judgment about things. So try to be at one with those around you. Try to nurture those relationships, but avoid at all costs that overreaction coming from an emotional point.